Hey everyone, someone here from Wynn. On today's video, I was going to discuss which Titan Power rack is most suitable for you. This video is coming out early 2022, and we're going to be talking about the T2 versus the T3 versus the X3, and finally the Titan Series Power Rack. Hopefully, when you watch this, it's not going to be too out of date, and you'll be able to get some insight to help you make your buying decision. So first off is the budget rack in every sense of the word. It is the T2. It is the cheapest rack they offer. It has the lightest weight rack capacity, but being the budget rack, it includes the most things. So this is going to be your one-stop shop power rack. Buy this and you will have everything you need to work out in your house. The next thing up will be the T3 Powers rack. Full disclosure, this is the rack that I personally use. I bought this several years ago now at a price of $400. So the pricing has definitely changed a lot. They're doing a couple of different things here to justify that price, like these side holes. I only have the lateral holes on the top and the bottom of each of these posts. Now you're getting them up and down the entire rack, which is a nice inclusion, but you do get a few less accessories when you buy this rack. In any case, this is probably going to be the most general applicable rack for most people that you can get. Yeah, it strikes a good balance between budget and features. Next one up is going to be the X3 series rack. The X3 comes in two versions, the flat foot, which you don't have to bolt down, and the bolt down rack, which you do have to bolt down. There's no reason to get the bolt down rack if you don't plan on bolting it down, because you really do need to bolt these racks down if they suggest it. I got away with the T3 for a couple of months not bolting it down, just because I wanted to work out in the room where it went, and how best to arrange the gym. Once I figured that out, I bolted it down. You can get away with it as long as you have a lot of 45-pound plates that you can put on the side of on the bottom of the post to weigh it down and help counteract that swing. Because racking, even squatting 300 pounds and racking that, you're going to start moving those legs around and walking that rack around. And finally, in the comparison, is going to be the flagship Titan fitness rack, and that is the Titan Series Power Rack. The most expensive rack. It has probably the most features. It doesn't have one significant feature that I really like in a rack, but you can see they're $890. So make sure to check out the links below so you can check out this rack for yourself if it's something you're looking at getting, or you just want to dig deeper into each of these racks. First off, we're going to look briefly at the T2. Again, it is the cheapest rack here. When we go for the height options, you only get to choose between 71 inches and 83 inches in height. This is going to be dependent on how tall your ceilings are in the room you're putting this in, as well as how tall you are as a person. So quick tip, go up against a wall or get a friend to measure your arms, stretch up as high as they can, and that'll tell you which rack height you should get. So the T2, even though it is the cheapest and budget rack they offer, I do think it has a really good use case of people that are just casual lifters. If you're looking for general fitness, you're not looking to, bench press 3 times. So if you're not looking to squat 3 times your body weight or bench press 2 times your body weight, this is going to be the rack for you. It doesn't have all those nice features that the other racks have, but if you don't need it, then don't pay for it. It does only use 2x2 posts, so it is the smallest post out of all of them, and it uses 12 gauge steel, so it also is the thinnest steel that Titan Fitness offers in their rack. So you're looking at a rack that doesn't hold as much weight and is not as stable as the other ones. But again, if you're not lifting that much weight, that's not that big of a concern. It also offers the fewest accessories available out of all the racks, because it is that budget line. But look through those options, the accessories there, and if all of the accessories you could ever possibly want are available for the T2, then this is going to be the perfect rack for you. If you're interested in powerlifting or strongman or like CrossFit, where you're specifically training for the barbell sports, this probably is not the rack for you. But if it's only going to make up a portion of your overall fitness and exercise regimen, so you're going to be rowing, running, cycling, then this might be the perfect rack to slot into your exercise regime. Next up, we're going to move into the T3 Series Power Rack, and I think this is probably the cheapest rack you should consider if you're into powerlifting or any of the barbell-specific sports, where working out with the barbell is going to make up 90% of your workout time. Because it does have a lot of nice features. You can choose between rack heights of 82 and 91, as well as a rack depth of either 24 or 36. Now, my recommendation is to always get the biggest rack that your space and budget allows for, because the bigger the rack, the more variability and the more options you have for working out in that rack. Even if you do have a small floor space, having a bigger rack weirdly lets you use that space a little better because you can start doing more things inside the rack. This is a rack that I think is going to be suitable for most people that are interested in barbell sports. It does have that 2x3 post size, so you can get some crossover with the Rogue R3 accessories if that's something you're looking at, or if they offer something that Titan Fitness doesn't, but that doesn't usually stay that way for long. Keep in mind that the 2x3 post does have lateral sway during movements, and even when you bolt that down, there is still going to be some lateral shift just because it's a rectangle on a square, but don't let that kind of get in the way. It's really minimal, and it's not something I've ever been concerned with, but just keep that in mind that lateral sway never really goes away.
But one of the big benefits of having that rectangle post is if you plan on buying a lot of specialty bars, or you currently own a lot of specialty bars, having that thinner post gives you added flexibility when dealing with different widths of barbells, especially when it comes to, say, Swiss bars, cambered bars, trap bars, all those different types of bars. If that's something you're looking at, then the 2x3 post is going to probably be more suitable for your style of training and your equipment.
The nicest thing about this rack is going to be that west side hole spacing, because it does let you tailor and get that perfect bench press rack height. And I think this is a great budget upgrade choice. By that I mean, if you currently own one of those off the rack racks from like a Dick's or a Sports Authority or a Walmart, this is going to be a great one to like upgrade into.
Because for the main part, you're looking to upgrade the weight rating capacity. You've already trained with a cheap rack. You wouldn't really want to upgrade to a T2 necessarily because it's not that big of an upgrade. If you can say squat 400 pounds and your current rack only supports 400 pounds, I would highly advise you to buy a better rack that can have at least double the weight rating that you're currently squatting at or your max is. And that's just because most of these weight ratings are based on static weights. When you start adding dynamic movements or like dropping a weight in a failed attempt, then you're going to add some issues there where if the rack says it's 400 pounds, I personally don't want to drop 400 pounds on that rack.
And next we have the X3. This comes in either the flat foot or the bolt down. And again, if you can't bolt it down, your only option here is going to be that flat foot. I would not recommend getting the bolt down if you can't bolt it down, just because they offer this flat foot series. So might as well go there. It's only $30 more expensive. Apart from the biggest difference of being that flat foot, the bolt down, the flat foot is going to be 2.5 inches narrow in footprint, and you only have that one depth option. And weirdly, you only get one pull-up bar for the flat foot one because of the need for it to be a bit more stable than the bolt down one. That top rear bracing, the sidebar, isn't going to be a pull-up bar. It's going to actually be another post that gives you extra stability, especially when you can't bolt it down. So keep that in mind. If you want to get a fat grip and a regular grip pull-up bar, you're going to have to buy that extra fat grip bar. So here you can see the different heights and depths you can get. Flat foot and the bolt down both give you the difference between 82 and 91 inches, but that bolt down only gives you that 24 or 36 inch option to change the depth. This is going to be probably your best budget 3x3 rack available on the market right now. It's going to be great for intermediate and advanced users, or even if you're just getting started in the gym and this is something you're really passionate about, then the X3 is going to be a great rack for you because you can grow into the rack. You're never ever going to outgrow a 3x3 11 gauge steel rack unless you start breaking world records, in which case just get the sponsor to send you a rack. It has a wide range of accessories. Another thing to keep in mind, because it is a 3x3 post, when you're comparing 2x3 to 3x3 accessories, 3x3s are going to be more expensive just because they use more steel in order to make that fit around a 3x3 post. So they're going to be a little bigger. And you're not talking about a huge price difference between the two of them, but you're looking at like a 5 to 15% price difference across the board of accessories. And if you're going to be buying a lot of accessories, that's going to add up. But if you're only buying one accessory, again, it's a smaller dollar amount. Just plan out your purchases and plan out your lifting, and you'll be able to see if this is a really big difference, a really big number or a really small number. And one of the great things about having a 3x3 or a square post is that you get holes on all four sides of the post, which gives you extra versatility in mounting accessories. You can mount things on the side, on the front. And what's nice is they didn't sacrifice that by removing the west side hole spacing. So you still get west side hole spacing with this 3x3 rack, which brings me to the question of, should you get the T3 or the X3? If budget is that big of a concern, and you can't afford to get that extra $100, then the T3 is going to be the answer. But if you can swing it, hold out for another month or two and save up that extra $100, I think it is going to be well worth it. Coming from someone that owns the T3, I think the X3 is a great option that you will never grow out of. And it's going to suit most people very well because it offers that expandability and versatility, even though it's coming at a higher price. I think it's that the price value equation is a lot better for the X3 versus the T3. Finally, we have the Titan series power rack. The flagship rack, the most expensive rack that Titan offers, comes in. The cheapest version here is $890. So it only gets more expensive than here. And it's a very bare bones package. Whereas the T2, you're getting a lot of stuff with it. You're not actually getting a lot of things with the Titan series power rack. The rack itself has pretty much all the bells and whistles you could ask for. It's a very nice, aesthetically pleasing rack with laser cut holes on the posts. It's got 2-inch holes on all up and down on all 4 sides. So again, a lot more versatility with where you can mount those accessories. That's really what that boils down to. And it offers the largest assembly hardware out of all the racks. So this has 1-inch diameter bolts. They're huge. The X3 uses, I believe, 5/8 inches. So this is just almost twice as big of a diameter bolt, which allows it to have that 2,000-pound rack capacity. And if you happen to have 10,000 pounds of weight plates and you can fit them on a rack, this is the rack that you need to buy. Biggest drawback of this rack is that there isn't west side hole spacing, so which means you might not find this rack suitable if you bench press a lot. So now we can ask the question, X3 or Titan series? I lean towards the X3. It's a cheaper rack, but that means you're getting better value. It's using the same steel. You're using a 3x3 11 gauge steel. The only difference that gives a Titan more rack weight capacity is those 1-inch diameter bolts, and it's putting up to 2,000 pounds. The current world record squat is 1,000 pounds, so I don't think you need to worry about the rackable weight capacity of a Titan series rack. It's great to know that you can put 2,000 pounds on a barbell, but if you're never going to do that, it's really not worth that price point, especially when there's no west side hole spacing. I think west side hole spacing is one of those really nice features in a rack that I just couldn't live without. Having used it, once you start using it, I don't think you can go back to a rack that doesn't have west side hole spacing. So given all those points, I think that the X3 is a better rack than the Titan series. And the other factor here is that when you're looking at that $900 price point, I think you should look at other brands out there on the market, like a Rogue or a Rep Fitness or even a Sorenex or an Elite FTS. While yes, they're all slightly more expensive than $900, if you're already pushing that $1,000 price range, it unlocks other brands and other rack features that I think you'd be better off spending your money in rather than the flagship Titan fitness rack. So to rank each of these racks, I personally would say the X3 is probably it represents the best value for money. It's not the cheapest rack, but I think you're getting the most rack you can for the dollars you're spending. The T3 is going to come next. It's a great budget rack that gives you a lot of features and uses that 2x3 post. That T2 rack is a great option for anybody that is just generally into fitness, isn't looking to break world records, isn't looking to squat 2 times their body weight, because lifting with barbells makes up maybe 50% of your overall training time. And finally, the Titan rack. I know it's Titan's flagship rack. I don't know if I could justify spending $1,000 on a Titan fitness rack when I could spend $1,000 on like a Rep fitness rack or a Rogue fitness rack. Those are just my 2 cents. And here we have just a little spreadsheet. Take a screenshot of this so you can quickly compare it. I've just listed down the main features and the main dimensions of prices here so you can have a quick cheat sheet when you're looking at comparing each of them. It just goes down from price, cheapest to most expensive. The included accessories are kind of eye-opening. That T2, again, like I said before, is the complete package. You buy the T2, you don't need to buy anything else to get started. Even the T3, you don't get safeties and you don't get weight plate holders. So you still need to buy those, so that price at $530 is just your starting range, whereas the $400 for the T2 is all you need to pay. And just like that with the $890 for the Titan, that's just your starting range. You only get band pegs for some reason. You don't get safeties. You don't get weight plate holders. You get the Titan nameplate, and that's like not that useful. So hopefully this helps you in your decision to choose a rack if you're looking at upgrading your home gym or start building a home gym now that equipment's and supply is getting a little bit more easy to come across. So let me know in the comments below if you decide to buy one of these racks, or if you own one of these racks if you enjoy using it or what you think is Titan Fitness's best rack. This has been Selwyn from Wynn Strength, and remember, a better life through strength.